Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Frontier Friday. I am, of course, your host, CCP Jötunn, joining you today here from lovely, sunny, for the first time in a week, Reykjavik, Iceland. Joining you alongside my very good friend, my colleague, my confidant, CCP Dramaturg.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, this is it. We got it. We got him back. Here they are. Hello, CCP Dramaturg. It's
Hello.
me, and you're you.
Yes.
You have not been here in a minute.
Uh-huh.
And I'm excited to talk about what we got to talk about today. I know people have kind of been jonesing for this content specifically. This is hot stuff. Hot off the presses even. I've only, what do you mean want to buy sound? You can hear sound. Can you not hear this? Overload? You not hear the sound? I assume he can. I think he's just talking shit. He is just talking shit. Spectacular. I'm pretty sure, like, I can. Yeah, okay, cool. What an asshole, this guy. Unbelievable. He's sitting over in his desk, just causing a ruckus. Anyway, friend. What a week we have had. We had a big event the other day on Wednesday. People saw the first iteration of the name.
Oh, the unpronounceable name.
The unpronounceable name.
So I will absolutely butcher it also.
I believe you'll do better than I will.
Because I was going over it, trying to be like, okay, I need to put together like a guide for people on how to pronounce it.
Yes.
And I'd forgotten that we did a very smart at the time thing when we were making it, which was we spelled it the way it kind of looks an IPA.
Okay.
But the problem is IPA and what like English speakers associate with characters like the Latin alphabet are nowhere close to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have no clue what people have been saying.
We've been saying Zerota Visa.
Yeah, that is about as wrong as you can get.
I figured it probably was. Yeah. Yeah.
And even when I was like, oh, this is
keep
how
talking.
You should say it. Oh, my mic isn't even on.
Your mic is actually turned down lower than mine.
Ah,
which is crazy.
Fantastic.
Yes. This. Is that better?
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
I think it's better. It's probably better. I pushed the button up real far. Whoever was sitting in that chair last, I don't know who was streaming.
Was like last. Someone who could project
louder than me, apparently. Insane. Yeah. So I mean, it's funny too because like the name is written in a conlang.
Yeah.
A conlang that you have been working on.
Yes.
So it is not like it's written in Latin characters, but it's not a Latin word. I mean, obviously it's not a Latin word.
Yeah. So the conlang has completely different phonetics than English.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I will say. And as Overload said, the X is the IPA X, which is a ch.
Yeah.
Like
oh.
Ch.
I don't know if I can make this. If I tried.
It helps if you're like a French speaker or a Hebrew speaker or like an Arabic speaker because you're used to the like.
I can't do it. There's no way.
And then there's a bunch of other misleading stuff about the way it's pronounced. That
well, we will do our
leave to people to figure out because if I say how it actually is pronounced,
yes,
that's like God coming in and being like, it's actually
gotcha.
This.
Yes.
So I'm not going to say that on stream.
The it's the sound of the ending of the lock and sound.
Yeah. Loch.
Oh, it's the Dutch R is what it is. Of course, I understand now. Say no more.
Well,
that is so I'm just gonna say Zerota Visa. Zerota.
As an English speaker would say.
As an English speaker would say, top of the morning. Wrong country. Something is Tuesday in it. There we go. Nailed it. First try. Absolutely nailing these cultural faux pas this morning.
Swap each other's microphones. Says chat.
Swap each other's microphones. I give me a second. I swear to God.
I can try and
stick. No, I got it. I'll figure it out. Give me a second. Me down. You up. There we go. All right. I mean, I'm also like chewing my mic, so like.
Yeah. Should I like? Should I mess with
Hey
this?
chat? Hey chat, is this better chat?
We
Is this
getting
better? Is this good for you? Is this working for you?
okay. I will
Okay.
pull this closer.
There we go. I do have you cranked, and it does. It like honestly, it is my fault. I am 100% the way I am, and I can't avoid it.
I'm like the one person in my family whose voice doesn't like carry and project. It's very funny.
I am the only one. Well, nobody else in my family is quite like this, and honestly, that's probably for the best. So, but we did do the event on Wednesday, and it was really interesting for a couple different reasons. Obviously, we're showing people, this first iteration of what a world boss in Frontier might look like. We got to see some really neat NPC interactions that the team has been working on. Obviously, there are more coming down the line as well. This is just we've said several times, tip of the iceberg. We did show off the key art for the concept art for Sorority Visa.
Just say it. Just
Sorority Visa.
say it with confidence, and it'll be fine.
We did show off the key art, which is super cool. By the way, if you haven't checked it out, it'll be on our socials here in a little bit. So check out any of those here before too long. I had them scheduled to go out today. I think at like 2:30. So go check that out, or it's on our Discord too, or just go watch the stream. You have so many options. So we got to see that. We got to see the thing actually smoke a couple players, which was pretty cool. We got to see the thing smoke CCP Loki too, which was very funny because CCP Loki was operating under the rules of the dev cloak from EVE Online and not EVE Frontier. They act very differently. Just to pull the curtain back a little bit, and even I sitting there on grid with it was getting absolutely like shellacked by the like wave pulse thing that the feral moon guy was putting out. So it was all very cool. So we got we did all that earlier this week. We had a patch then go out yesterday that put Sorority Visa out into the universe so that it can spawn in more places. We also fixed a couple little bugs, easy peasy. But now here we are sitting together, you and I, and we're going to talk about we're going to talk about NPC AI in general, right?
Yes.
So we talk about we've said a lot about how we want these feral NPCs to be dynamic and creative and interesting and unique and smart, right? Because one of the criticisms, obviously, of a lot of the NPCs in EVE Online is they're a little one note, right?
Yeah.
And not to say there's anything wrong with them. They do the job well for what they're intended to do, but they're they're
classical MMO NPCs.
Yes, they approach you, they orbit you, they shoot you, and then they die, and that is their function.
Yeah.
They don't really think too much further than that. So, the question then becomes like, what if an NPC, is trying to, not only thinking for itself, what if an NPC wants to run away? What if an NPC wants to call for friends? What if an NPC wants to maybe move to a different, and realizes that engaging with you at a certain range is dangerous and decides to pull to a different range and engage with you in that range instead? Or what if an NPC wants to hide? Like these are all things that like people are, now we're talking about this thing more publicly. And a lot of these things that we're now having the opportunity to build out, obviously, because this is, Frontier has given us this platform to do that. Now, a lot of that has fallen onto one of the many hats that you're wearing right now, which for people who don't know, CCP Dramaturg wears a lot of hats. A narrative designer, not an NPC AI designer, and yet here we are.
So to give some perspective.
Yes.
My background is in character behavior.
Okay.
So like
you came from academia.
I came from academia.
And you worked on this when you were in doing academia.
Yeah. So like my dissertation is about designing character behavior. It's about using theater to build AI systems and support character interaction between players and NPCs.
Sure.
So that is why I've ended up being one of the people doing stuff with the behavior system.
Yeah.
And like my job title is narrative designer, but like my background is essentially technical narrative design, which is you do anything implementation wise that is like code related
Mm-hmm.
and tools related to get the narrative across to the player.
Okay.
So my specialty with that's like character behavior.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's also why I'm like one of the people doing the universe generator, because
Yep.
even though like I didn't do that much of it during my time in academia, I am friends with a bunch of like procedural generation people, and it's a lot of the same general like principles hold for a lot of this stuff.
Sure. Cool. Well, we have a presentation we're gonna go through. We actually have more time than I had anticipated, by the way, in case you want to go a little bit longer, elaborate a little bit more. Just a bit of a programming update. We're not going to do live to feed today. We've got a couple people who are out sick, and a couple people who have been out sick and are now kind of trying to catch up with work. So we're gonna take this week off, which I think everybody probably needs the break. But that means that there's no stream after this. So we have all the time in the world to go through all this stuff. And I'm excited about it because it is very cool. Now, that's not a pressure to go longer, by the way. To be very clear, it's not any pressure at all.
I mean, I'm an academic. You can just get me talking.
That is
I will
true.
lose track of time.
And I found out just a few minutes ago when you told me this that you'll be presenting at FanFest as well.
Yeah.
Which is like, again, this is all super sick stuff. And I'm sure there'll be even more to show then when you don't have, a week of me saying, hey, can you come on stream in a week? Please help, and have more time to prepare. I'm sure there'll be some real sauce there then also. So something to look forward to if you come to FanFest, which, by the way, you should come to FanFest if you have the means to and the inclination, because it's a lot of fun. And you get to drink. That was my favorite part. That's not true. It wasn't my favorite part. It was up there, probably top 3, I think. Top 3 was the drinking. Anyway, so let's get into it then.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and go to this screen here.
So the disclaimer before the disclaimer is the font is messed up.
Yeah, so we did have a font issue. CCP Mac and Cat somewhere absolutely panicking about this. This has been an issue before. Imagine these are aesthetic appropriate fonts. They're not right now. Pretend that they are. Okay, continue.
On my computer, they are.
They look great
on my machine. It works.
Of course,
like
of
classic game.
Yes,
classic game development.
Indeed.
So yeah, I'm here to talk about feral drones and game AI.
Okay.
And I am, for specific reasons, using the term game AI here.
Okay.
Brings me to that is not
right, because I pressed the button. Yes.
Yeah.
I've done the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You did the thing.
I do this. Oh God. Okay, try it now.
Okay, there we go.
Jesus Christ. Give me a second. Hang on.
We stable.
That's a blur.
Just give me soft focus like it's the 80s.
Yeah, we'll do this. How about that? Okay, come back in and nailed it. Okay, first try.
This brings me to what will probably be sitting here with the word disclaimer on screen for a bit.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world now where the term AI has been unfortunately condensed down to mean one specific thing instead of being the umbrella term for basically anything from academia that has not found its own field yet.
Sure.
So now we live in a world where if you say AI, everybody thinks, oh, it's an LLM neural network.
Right.
That's what they think AI is. I've been in the field longer than the hype machine's been going. So to me, like in my little corner, AI is still like the umbrella term, but I have to specify now if I'm talking about game AI, what that's a subset of AI, and it is what it sounds like.
It's a very different thing.
It can be. So game AI is like any kind of AI system that's applied to a game.
Okay.
And that can involve machine learning, that can involve symbolic AI, but it is a separate thing most of the time from GenAI.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to be talking about is entirely symbolic AI in this case.
Okay.
And I can talk a little bit about why symbolic AI instead of all the like fancy machine learning stuff that you see, like playing StarCraft, playing Dota, playing Go at superhuman levels.
Sure.
And it's because there has not been a rules update to Go in a meaningful way in a very, very long time.
Sure.
Same thing with chess. Same thing with like old versions of StarCraft. Those are fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you want to train something, you need a fixed target.
Sure.
Because the second anything changes, got to retrain it.
Okay.
And that's just life with machine learning. So this is why it's really, really rare to see like machine learning based NPC behavior in a game, just because the second anything changes and like the situation we're in with development of like everything's changing like weekly,
Right.
even, it is impossible to train anything ML related like in that amount of time and get it to anywhere meaningful. So that's why symbolic AI. And if you're not familiar with symbolic AI, that's kind of, it boils down to everything is just a bunch of if statements at the end of the day. But
Sure.
it's what it really is about is you craft the knowledge representation of like how the AI system understands the world and how it interprets it and the rules about how it responds. So this is basically any NPC you run into in a game that you shoot at it, something happens, that's symbolic AI. Now there is machine learning going on for certain things like arc raiders, if I remember right, their animation system is machine learning, and I think it's evolutionary algorithms. Don't quote me on that. So you will see machine learning all over game AI, just rarely is it the thing driving NPC behavior.
Okay.
And I'm here to talk about NPC behavior.
Sure.
So symbolic AI. And the general flow of this is, I mean, I'm already kind of talking about the background stuff of like, what is, thank you.
Right.
Like, what is the problem that's trying to be solved just in general with like NPC behavior?
Sure.
And we already talked a little bit about where we are or where we came from as far as like the system goes. And I can go into a few more details about that. Then I'm going to go into some of our influences for like where we want this thing to go and just a little overview of where we are with it now, which is still very, very early. And most of what we did for December and what is currently in game now that's new was about just getting a foundation that we can actually work with. And then finally, like the cool things we want to be able to do.
Yep.
So let's get into the background. And let's start with the problem that we're trying to solve, which is how do we make things that people want to engage with and spend time around?
Yeah.
With the caveat of their lifespan can be measured in tenths of seconds often.
Okay.
So this is my version of a quote from Jeff Orkin, who was the lead AI developer on Fear.
Okay.
Where the problem is essentially you have a second or two to get some meaningful reaction until the NPC's dead.
Right.
Because the player shot them in the face the second they're on screen.
Correct.
So, how do we deal with this? How do we...
Well, because you're right. It is a difference in scale, right? Because there will be enemies that people just kind of brush off. They're like, oh, these are just, it's the rats running around in a forest, right?
Yeah.
Like the squish NPCs that you just like, oh, go out there and, knock these guys down, no big deal. There's a wide range between that and, giga into your boss NPCs that will not only last a long time, will probably last long enough that they outlast the players in a lot of cases. And how do you balance that? Using the same system that you're using to balance the squish NPCs at the beginning.
Yeah, like you're using the same system, but they usually are different enough, like in how you need to approach them that like, and this is something coming out of like trying to teach people game development, like bosses are a giant can of worms as far as development goes because they're on screen for a really long time, so they need a lot more intricate behaviors. And just the scale of everything is so big compared to like anything that's like your normal everyday NPC that's just hanging out. So this tends to be why like you'll end up with boss designers, and then you have like the people making the AI system, and they're two very separate, or not very separate, but like they're two separate teams
Got
doing
it.
stuff.
Cool.
So how do we solve this problem? There are three very common approaches to this. First one, and this is vaguely in chronological order of like when they made their way into game development. The first one, which you'll find in like Half-Life,
Sure.
is finite state machines, which are essentially you make a graph of your states and you say, if you're in this state and something happens, something specific happens, you transition to this other state, and you just make essentially the entire mapping of what an NPC is able to react to, what state they're able to be in, and you just get this finite state machine out of it.
Sure.
They are perfectly fine to use, but the problem is the more complicated a game you make, the more complicated this graph is going to get.
Right.
And
I can see this spiraling out of control pretty quickly.
Yeah. So we'll get to that in a second. Then kind of coming off of finite state machines, we have behavior trees, and this is what Halo's the thing that like popularized this technique. It's still kind of a finite state machine at the end of the day, but it's basically like a search over a very structured finite state machine. So you go into the root, you go to, in this case, I forget if it's the top or the bottom. Usually I see these represented left to right. You go into one side, and then you try, am I in a state that would let me do the thing at the bottom of this part of the tree?
Sure.
Yes, I will do it. No, I will not do it. And you just execute based on some very simple conditions.
Okay.
My favorite, which is a solution to the finite state machine problem, is planning.
Jesus Christ.
And an AI planner is essentially, like, I'm going to be talking about state space planners, but this sort of thing, very cut down versions of this are what most NPCs use for like pathfinding.
Okay.
So the like pathfinding problem is called like path planning. And if you've ever heard anyone in game development talk about AI systems, they will always talk about A star. And I will do my
A star
mandated.
is in like a.
So it's A with a little asterisk.
Yeah.
It's called A star search. And it is the single best general algorithm for finding an optimal path over a graph.
Okay.
You can make much more efficient ones, but you cannot get better from a general case than A star. And it's essentially, you are looking at as little of this graph as possible to find an optimal path.
Okay.
Using a heuristic, which is the estimate from where you currently are to the goal. And you're using a priority queue, which, like CCP Overload said, the priority queue is one of the optimizations pre-A star. But to go back to planning, they are essentially, instead of searching like the nav mesh over an environment, they are searching state space.
Okay.
So you say, okay, here's the state that you're in. Here's all of the actions that are available to you. Some of them might have preconditions on them which say this part of the state must look like this for you to ever be allowed to take this action.
Okay.
And then you tell the planner, okay, look at the state space. Based on your current state and based on your goal, find me a path with all these actions that gets me, in theory, the optimal path to my goal state.
Okay.
Now, one of the things is with NPCs especially, you don't necessarily need them to have an optimal path through state space. Like I did a very cut down version of this in academia. And the thing with state space is getting a heuristic that's good is really freaking hard.
Yeah.
So you might not ever be able to guarantee an optimal path.
Okay.
But because it's an NPC, you don't actually want it to do the optimal thing.
I was going to say, it feels like it'd be one of those things where, like, if it was going for the optimal path every single time, it would be it can get samey very fast, and perhaps the inefficiency adds variety. That make any sense?
Yeah. So it's not about efficiency so much as if you're doing the optimal thing every time,
Mhm.
it's boring because
Sure.
it's always going to be the optimal thing and people will be able to predict it. Um, and so behavior trees are still generally the industry standard because they're very authorable and they're extremely designer controllable.
Okay.
Um, and so the downside to planners is they're very hard to debug
Sure.
because especially if the state is complicated enough, you will never get them into the same state twice. There will always be a little tiny thing different, so getting them to replicate anything is really hard.
Mhm.
But the flip side of that is you get a lot of emergent behavior out of them. So
Sure.
it's a give and take of what affordances you want in your AI system. So behavior trees tend to be the industry standard because they're simple to implement relative to a planner.
Sure.
And there's a thing called an HTN planner that at a very high level is essentially a mix of a planner and a behavior tree, where instead of it being like a single action that the planner is putting together, it's putting together like action macros of here's a sequence of things you do that's designer authored,
Mhm.
but you're sticking those sequences together.
Okay.
That's what like Horizon Zero Dawn uses. Transformers uses HTN planners.
Mhm.
Most other things, when in doubt, probably using a behavior tree.
Okay.
We are doing something that is a strange mix of these two things, largely as a consequence of the behavior system that EVE Online has, because we are using essentially the exact same system. Now, over the past like 3-4 months, it's been heavily, heavily modified. Um, and the reason I would say we have a mix of these two things is largely because thing you very quickly learn about AI system development is it's all about how good are your abstractions,
Okay.
and our abstractions are not good. It's
Okay.
essentially
Love that.
working with our behavior system, you are essentially writing code on top of code. Whereas in like a perfect world, you get like a nice abstraction of, oh, I want the NPC to like take this general kind of action. And there's a bunch of code in the back end that's going to handle dealing with all the inputs this thing gets, but it'll take care of it. You don't have to look at it.
Okay.
In our system, you have to look at it
Sure.
because, and this is true generally for both Frontier and Eve, the actions that are put into the behavior
Mhm.
are very small.
Okay.
They are like, I am going to load this particular part of memory with this value.
Okay.
So this is like very, very old school style
So how
AI
many
programming.
in that case, like I feel like basic functions require so many different inputs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not as bad as you would think. It's mostly um because it's not literally just here's a Python script.
Mhm.
There's a bit of extra work to get everything to fit together in a way that works as far as the system's abstractions go. But it's a lot of it is like you have a task that does like one thing, and that one thing is like does this operation on this data structure, sticks it in memory.
Okay.
And now the thing is, that is most of the work of an AI system is you look at data, you operate over it, you restructure it a little bit, and then you put it back in memory so that the next thing can look at it, make a decision, edit stuff, maybe take an action that affects the game state, but usually it's like put that stuff back so that you can look at it later.
Okay.
And this is why like big thing for symbolic AI is knowledge representation,
Mhm.
because you are representing many different parts of the game state in memory to the NPC. So, kind of already talking about where we were. So this is basically just what it is like every time you go into an Eve location and deal with NPCs. They are there or they show up. You are either there or you show up. You shoot at each other until one of you dies. They will switch targets depending on damage, just like a lot of other MMOs.
Sure.
And maybe they'll call in reinforcements.
Okay.
And this is just kind of the general experience of Eve. And it works for Eve. If you want that experience, Eve is right there.
Yep.
But this is not something that works for Frontier.
Sure.
So I'm going to talk about influences. I've already talked about a couple of them, not as influences.
Yeah.
So the biggest one is Halo.
Okay.
And some of this is because I love Halo. I think Halo is a great game.
Based.
And I mean, this probably says a lot about like why I am one of the people doing the behavior system. But to me, like one of the best things in Halo is the AI system. Because if I approach a group of enemies slightly differently, they will in fact react quite differently. So even just who I decide to shoot first is very important for the outcome of that engagement.
Okay.
If I shoot the elite first and kill it, all the grunts panic.
Right.
They run around and they go, panic, panic, he killed him.
Very good, by the way.
Thank you.
Spectacular.
And that dynamism, it
No, it's done.
Go for it.
It's absolutely done.
So, and it's like, that's the kind of dynamism and that's the kind of strategy we want to allow people or support people in like how they approach engaging NPCs is like, depending on how you engage with them, they are going to react differently. And depending on your circumstances, the environment, etc., you might want them to react one way or another. And also, Halo is very good at telegraphing, like, this is the big scary one that's in charge.
Right.
This is like the little one that's like individually not that dangerous, but if there's a bunch of them and they're not like panicking, yeah, they can still kill you. So, and most of these influences, because I already mentioned like what our AI system is like, they're not direct like tech influence because we have a system that has its own opinions about stuff, but they're a lot more about like the philosophy of how you design an NPC.
Sure.
So another one is Horizon.
You never played Horizon?
It's a fun game.
Is it good?
I recommend it. If you want to like kill robot dinosaurs, it's great.
And they're very cool.
So Horizon is a very interesting game from an AI perspective because they have an interesting philosophy relative to one of the other games I've already mentioned, where the individual NPC is supposed to be extremely competent at like being that NPC. It's supposed to be really good at being in character. So essentially it's like you can drop them anywhere in the world and they'll react in character.
Sure.
So that's what we want. Is we want to be able to just say, okay, NPC, you're in this environment, figure out what
act
to do
as if you would be,
and you will act as the feral drone you always were meant to be.
Like a Monster Hunter thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like Monster Hunter, and I'm sure the same is true in Horizon as well. Like different enemies will still behave the same way they would normally. However, if you're in an area where it's more liquidous, obviously that'll change their behavior. If in an area that's more fiery, they'll change their behavior. Just because they're still acting as if they would.
Yeah.
But they're like the circumstances change.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
It's like we need the NPCs to be robust enough to always function in character in whatever environment we put them in because the universe is so big.
Sure.
And the other thing that we took inspiration from with Horizon specifically is the group stuff. They have a very nice group system that I wish we had
Mhm.
because it's essentially infinitely scalable.
Okay.
You have a giant tree of every group, and you can have like a tiny little tree of just here's the group, here's all the NPCs in it. But they have, and because it's a single player game, they can do this where it's just you can just add layers and layers and layers of groups
Okay.
of NPCs and move them around really easily. But the main thing they did with groups is it's primarily information sharing. There's very little like individual, or there's very little coordination outside of just information sharing in the way they do groups. And that's something we are doing, at least with the new set of NPCs, where yes, they have a group behavior, but that thing is primarily there to manage data.
Right.
Rather than the Eve paradigm, which is the group behavior is the thing making most of the decisions for everybody in the group.
Right.
That is why if you look at Eve NPCs, you can kind of tell where the lines between the groups are because they will all focus on the same target.
Right. Yes.
And that is the optimal thing to do. But again, the optimal thing is not necessarily what you want when you're designing NPCs that people we want
Right.
people to build a relationship
Because
with.
it's a little dull too, right? And one of the things, just to take a step back for just a second, one of the things we've talked about a lot in Eve specifically, and I'm a wormholer, by the way. So we interact a lot with what are the sleeper drones in Eve
Mhm.
Online, and you know those fights. A lot of times you'll have several expensive ships on grid to try and fight them because the cost is the reward is very high, so it's worth putting more valuable assets on grid. However, they only ever focus on one at a time. So if somebody were to jump you while you're doing your PvE business, you very rarely will be able to, as long as somebody's paying attention and are working correctly or using their meathead business, they can usually get out of dodge pretty easily because they're only ever going to be focusing on the one target, so that everything else is not going to get tackled, right? So the other two, if you have three marauders on a grid, excuse me, one of them gets tackled by the entire room, and the other two are just like, okay, like deuces, I'm out of here, and they leave.
Mhm.
And that's how it is in every single engagement. And it'll be really interesting then if that group would then be like, hey, listen, we have so many different groups, so many different ships here. Well, let's make sure we have everything tackled, and then we can start focusing on targets. But they don't do that.
Yeah, because they're doing the optimal thing,
right?
Of just focus down one thing at a time.
Yep.
So, yeah, like that's one of the goals is to get like Frontier's NPCs away from like doing the optimal thing in the sense of there's always a single correct answer for
Sure.
a situation. And mostly it's about giving them a better idea of like what is around them.
Right.
And that goes back to this general premise of like have the individual NPC be competent and fairly autonomous. Like when I was testing the new NPCs, like you can drop them in there without a group behavior
Mm-hmm.
and they will work. They just won't like repeatedly do something.
Sure.
So on like the technical side, we can do that.
Right.
It's mostly then a matter of like getting these things to work. Now, fear I've mentioned a bit already because it's a touchstone for game AI in general still because it's one of the really early instances of having a planner. But for us, it's an interesting negative example, specifically because the fear AI, or at least the individual AI characters in fear, have no clue what the other ones are doing.
Really?
They have zero concept of being in a squad.
So they don't have like group behavior.
Nope. Yeah. Like individually, they don't factor anybody else other than the player existing. So they have an entire separate manager that goes like, oh, you should have this goal. The other one should have this other goal, because like if you don't, then something bad will happen. Whereas with like the Horizon example, the main thing the group is doing is sharing information. And with our system, in a lot of ways, it's much easier to have the NPCs just factor in, oh, I know what this one probably wants to do, and depending on my state and its state, I will do this thing, therefore it can do this other thing. And that helps coordinate them without having a separate like overhead system that's going, you need to do this thing, you need to do this other thing. So yes, like Aki says, there is a coordination system, and that coordination system is also the thing that runs all the barks. So the reason the Fear AI sounds like it's planning stuff and it sounds like they're coordinated is because there's a top-down system on it that's going, I want this one to like flank, I want this other one to do covering fire. And then because I'm giving these two these goals, I'm going to have this one yell that it's flanking while this other one yells like covering fire.
Sure.
So it's all this theater to make it seem like, I mean, they're coordinated, but they're less coordinated individually than they seem. And it's an entire separate system doing that.
Okay.
Which, I mean, for this game makes a heck of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's just a funny thing to be like, ah, yes, technically they don't know anything about each other. It's mostly like fun from a technical perspective.
Got it.
But we aren't doing this. And also we aren't using a planner as much as I'd love for us to use a planner. That would take too long to build because we'd essentially have to build it from scratch. And we are not only influenced by games. To me, I mean, probably partially because I'm a narrative designer by trade. I do think it's important to have influences that are not just like other games. Like, get out, get some like
touch grass,
real world references, because then what you're doing is grounded. And I mean, we say we're grounded in science, and there's more than just physics to be grounded in.
Yeah.
So the biggest single influence, at least for like the current crop of NPCs that exists, like if you go into one of the landscapes and you see an NPC come up to you and shoot you and then just kind of like look at you for a bit and then kind of chill out, that is heavily inspired by sharks and the way they test bite things if they're curious. And now the NPCs that are in the landscapes, you can kind of ignore them because they basically don't do anything to you. Because they just kind of tickle you. But the concept is essentially this.
This is such a fucking funny video.
And so obviously like comical video, but if we unpack this a little bit, we can kind of understand why a shark is biting the internet cable. And so we know one of the things about sharks is they're very sensitive to like electrical current. If there's an internet cable, there's a hell of a lot of electrical current.
Yeah, it just wants that data.
And it's like they don't really know what it is. They can't smell it, or it smells kind of funky.
Stop. Ban that man. Ban Coca-Cola. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Go away. Cease. No. All right, continue. Sorry.
So it's like, okay, they don't know what this is. There's not enough other information, so they bite it. And because it's a shark and it's large and it has lots and lots of teeth, yeah, it's gonna mess up this cable. But the intention isn't necessarily to destroy the cable.
Yeah, it's not malicious.
I'm curious, and the fact that I'm a very large shark, the destruction is just kind of like happenstance.
Right.
So that's sort of the direction we want to take the feral drones in Frontier is like they are not necessarily they're not necessarily like purely interested in exterminating you,
Mhm.
but even their curiosity is like a threat
Sure.
just because like of the nature of what they are.
Yeah.
Kind of like a large shark taking a bite out of your leg
Yeah, or like
because
just
you look kind of like a seal, and when it bites you, it realizes, oh shit, this is not a seal.
uh
This is a human and tastes like garbage.
yeah, I don't know about garbage. It tastes pretty good. Go ahead.
So then our other inspiration, like
Mm.
I'm from the US, I'm from California. Anytime you go into the wilderness in California, you have to think about bears.
Yep. I think
That
about
is
bears all the time.
just a fact of life
Mhm.
where you go out into the woods, there might be a bear there,
Okay.
and the bear is much bigger than you,
Yeah.
and the bear can absolutely take what it wants from you.
Mhm.
And the bear can also hurt you a lot, even if the goal is not like to kill you.
Sure.
For
Just by
yeah,
virtue of it being huge and strong.
yeah, by
I mean,
being a grizzly bear, it can kill you without really trying to kill
right.
you.
It's a gorilla thing, right? Like gorilla just like fuck around with you, just be like, what's going on
Yeah,
with this guy? Babada boo. And the next thing you know, you're like
yeah,
internal bleeding. Yeah.
yeah. And so one of the other things that we want to really are heading in the direction of with Frontier is you essentially live in space bear country
Sure.
where you have to secure your belongings against
Space
the
bears.
against space bears, against the feral drones that'll show up, and it's like if they can access something, they will absolutely access it and they
Mhm.
will take stuff and they will destroy stuff. So you essentially have to like have a bear can or your like bear proof garbage can to store stuff in instead of just like leaving your stuff out and it's like, oh, I left stuff out. Why is stuff gone? Well, it's because the feral drones showed up.
Mhm.
They saw you had an unsecured thing. They had stuff, you had stuff they wanted, and now they have it.
Yep. To use a turn of phrase that I mentioned earlier when we were talking about this, the overlap between the smartest feral and the dumbest player is fairly significant. But yes, okay. So I mean, but this is an interesting idea, right? Where because I feel like in so many different games, our own included up to this point, NPCs are just actively hostile. If they see you, they're gonna kill you
Yeah.
because you are an enemy and they see you as an enemy, or they don't see you as an enemy and until you shoot them, right? But now it feels like this is at least dynamic in the sense that they are curious about you. You share the same space, but like they won't, unless you smell funny or look funny or look at them funny, and then suddenly like it's go time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, moving on from inspirations, this is where we're at,
Hmm.
and it's almost entirely getting us the ability to make you feel like you live in the scariest bear country ever.
Sure.
Um, so I mean the huge thing that we managed to add a very preliminary version of in December was getting them to understand things about the environment and interact with it. So this is an old version because they don't leave anything in the inventory, but they're able to look around the environment. They have things they want and they will take them if they can,
Hmm.
and they will try and call other NPCs to show up or come over and blow something up if they can't, i.e. you.
Sure.
Like
Of
they
course.
so fun little technical thing.
Hmm.
They absolutely could just take stuff from your inventory. We have to make sure they don't.
Really?
Because it like so part of the reason we had such a big focus on getting them to understand things about the inventory is the entire game, like everything in Eve, everything in Frontier is an inventory.
That is true. Yeah.
So it's like
It's all boxes.
it's just boxes all the way down.
Yeah.
And this is one of these things of when you're making an AI system, especially like an NPC AI system, it probably should know about like your core metaphor or your core like architecture
Mhm.
of like what you have people do, so
Sure.
that it too can interact in like the same way that people playing the game interact.
Mhm.
So this is like super super early with what we ideally want, but we have more things they can do than just shoot at you.
Okay.
Although right now it's mostly it leads to them shooting at you.
Of course.
But they will at
Honestly, I get
least
it.
but there are things you can do with them that I don't think people have discovered yet.
Mhm.
Um and we're also trying to make information gathering more important both to players and to the NPCs.
Sure.
So we have the scanning ones, and if you have stuff in your inventory that they want, they will try and get it in some way. And we deliberately made them unable to shoot you just because if they scan you and they see something you want and they immediately start shooting you, we're still in that realm of
Yeah.
they basically just shoot you. So there's more dynamism if it's they are there is like a thing that can be threatening even if they themselves are not directly threatening. And it's about letting you figure out how you want to prioritize being around these NPCs.
Mhm.
And the other huge thing that was mostly right now just a background, like back end technical lift, was getting them to be more flexible about how they understand the environment, how they understand state, and letting them use that understanding to respond. So this is a video of me faking, essentially faking being two different people and having them draw aggro based on scoring, which right now is basically just distance, but we're adding way more
Mhm.
soon about how they evaluate targets. So you can manage them in a way that's not just shoot one of them more, or like
Sure.
if I'm in a group, it's not just I shoot at one, they all come over to me, and then you shoot them, they come over to you.
Yeah.
It's more depending on where they are, depending on where you are, they might focus on one thing or another. And there's a whole bunch more that we want to do with this, but for now, it was a lot of work to just get the basic. They are not locked into shoot this one kind of target
Right.
in this one way. And I mean, this was kind of already covered with the interacting with players, but as you see more and more kinds of drones in a single group,
Mhm.
they will get more and more intricate behavior.
Okay.
So it's a way for us to signal to you all that they are able to do more if you see more variety.
Mhm.
And then it's also a way for you to decide what your priority is. It's
Right.
like, is it worth the risk of attacking this one kind of NPC? Because if I don't attack them and I ignore them, the threat will actually get worse.
Right.
Whereas if we're in the like older Eve style paradigm, yes, there's target prioritization, but the types themselves of NPCs are not that different. It's usually scale
Mhm.
and like whether or not they're doing E-war to you.
Sure. Do you foresee a future where the NPCs not only will try and disengage from fights if they feel like they're no longer have an advantage, but can then change their minds about disengaging if they have, if you have more of the strong ones come in, then they're like, whoa, hang on a second, maybe we can do this. Like, is that within the realm of possibility?
That is within the realm of possibility. I would not say it will be soon.
Yeah, of course. No. I don't want to pretend like anything's soon. Okay, that's not the game I play. Cool.
Yeah. So, and just in general, a lot of backend improvements to how we author the behaviors for these NPCs and just making the system more robust and more flexible.
Hmm.
And while we are using the Eve behavior system, not being stuck with all of the commitments that Eve made with the systems, like the main thing is target selection. The way that our NPCs do target selection is completely different than the way Eve does. And it's a more like interest or utility score based thing instead of a very like fixed, you care about this metric and this metric only. For us, it's very additive. So we can say like, okay, we care about distance, we care about threat, we care about other things, and then they will dynamically pick like who is the best target or
Okay.
most interesting thing. So again, the authoring burden like we have is pretty high.
Yeah.
So anything we're able to do to make this better is a huge win. So what does the future look like?
Okay.
And some of this may come soon, some of this might be way down the road, just with production realities. But one of the biggest priorities we have is getting them to not just be stuck where they show up first. So right now, I think every single NPC in the game, every single feral drone, they spawn somewhere, and that's the only place they will ever be.
Yeah, they live and die in one spot.
Yep.
Yep.
And I mean, we wanted to do this for a long time. It was like one of the days I was playing our super early game. I was sitting there like going back and forth between this convoy, and I was like, okay, there's no players around. The fact that I like feel no danger and there's nothing that's going to happen
Yeah.
as I'm going to this convoy. Like I want even just something to show up and like scan stuff and loot stuff next to me.
Right.
So that's where we're aiming to go, is having them able to move around and disrupt the environment, disrupt player bases.
Yep.
So they are kind of able to do that already because like they can loot your portable storage.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's happened to anybody,
But it is possible.
but it is possible.
Mhm.
Like they will absolutely steal your shit out of portable storage,
Good.
but you have to put the portable storage near them
Yeah,
to have
they're
that
not,
happen.
they're not hunting it
They're
down.
not, yeah, they're not going around.
To use the bear analogy, they're just in the woods. They're not going to
Yeah.
be your campsite.
Yeah, you like, yeah, to use the bear analogy, you have to put your like you have to wheel your dumpster
Out
into the woods.
Be like, don't take anything from this. They're like, well, I guess if you say so.
So yeah, we want them to move around. So like the roaming is a huge part of also getting them to attack player bases, because
Mhm.
it's much more interesting if it's not just, yes, we wish to attack you. Let us spawn a bunch of these next to you. It's like, oh, if you go around and you see like, oh, there's a bunch of like the little feral traces, places, oh, there are NPCs around.
Yeah. We
Do
can
I
find the
want to
droppings.
set up shop?
Yes.
So there's some of that, and the first version of this will be like super preliminary. It's mostly so we have a foundation
Mhm.
to work with, but we absolutely want to get there. I already kind of talked about this, but getting them to be interested in targets in a way that you can manage, and you might not be able to manage it well, but it's something you at least will understand like why they are possibly being interested in you. And there's some like stealth game influence here, like Thief or Dishonored
Mhm.
or Metal Gear, where it's like we don't have literal sight cones, but we're going to be adding a bunch of tools
Awareness
for you.
mechanics.
Yeah, we're going to be adding more awareness to them about like different kinds of state and different things that like you're managing, they will know about.
Sure.
And they'll use like different stats, like heat, for example, is something they will likely be taking an interest in. And they'll use that. So it's like if you're way outside of the ambient temperature range, they will think that's weird. And if it's too weird, they might just go, that is suspicious. It's time to blow that up because we don't want to deal with it. But it's mostly about like doing this in a way that lets them manage interest so that you can figure out like how, like where their limits are, and at least play around them a little bit. Like there'll still be instances where you either messed up or there's something else going on that's set them off, but there will be ways to interact with them beyond just like you shoot at them, they shoot at you, and it will be systemic. And then one of the other things, since you all can build bases, we want them to be building bases.
Yep.
And
we've already seen a little bit
yeah.
of this already in the generative sites. I feel like we're the
Yeah.
kind of the start of this.
Yeah, they're like the genesis of this.
Mhm.
And what we want is like they'll go around the solar system, they'll loot stuff, they'll probably take stuff from you. And then like when they're full and they can't loot anymore, they will drop it off in a location, and depending on who exactly they are, they might have a structure there, or it'll be just like their little hiding spot. And you can then go over there and steal from them, or if they have industry, it might be worth letting them do their thing and trying to manage being in the same solar system or same star system as these things that absolutely can kill you and can absolutely ruin your day.
Mhm.
But they're also producing something in a way that you can't,
Sure,
or are way more efficient at it.
is it
than you
worth
can
it
be.
to have noisy neighbors if they like drop gold outside of their house every so often?
Is it worth living in bear country where the bears are always going to show up to your house and probably like walk through it?
If they shit gold?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh yeah, I'm into that. Love that.
And obviously a lot more.
Yeah, way more. I mean, this is we talked about this a little bit the other day when we were doing the event, but you know, some of the NPC mechanics for the not just the obviously the boss itself,
Mhm.
but the little hangers on for the boss feel very interesting with how, you know, one of the things I feel like we haven't ever really gotten is like swarm mechanics, and seeing ferals that actually like swarm is very scary. You know, because
Yeah.
you're used to the groups of maybe like 10, 15 at the max, and they're all sometimes little, you know, little guys, a couple big guys, but
Mhm.
like a bunch of them, like 40 all at once, is horrifying.
Oh yeah, I mean, the way I was testing these a lot was I'd spawn like 500 to like 2,000 of them just to like see what would happen to the CPU.
And they just fly around.
Um,
What did
yeah,
happen
and
to the CPU, by the way?
depends. Like
Yeah.
it is a lot on the CPU, especially if they're all in the exact same spot,
Mm-hmm.
because we have the unfortunate situation of the NPCs all care about line of sight
Sure, of course.
because line of sight's important,
Mm-hmm.
but they all interfere with each other's line of sight.
Right.
So the problem becomes when there's like 2,000 of them on a grid and they're all like interested in roughly the same thing. You get the swarm, and the swarm is just constantly interfering with everybody in the swarm's line of sight
Sure.
to like whatever it is. So that does not help the CPU.
Yeah.
And it's like the more active they are, the more they're gonna hammer the CPU, but we haven't seen it be terrible.
Do they actively try and avoid each other when they're shooting?
They don't care about each other that much.
Yeah.
Like they will shoot
I mean, I guess
through each other.
that does make sense though, right? I mean, they're not like
Yeah.
they're not individualists. They're a collective kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And more.
And more.
And more. What's next?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
the whole presentation.
All right. Well, okay. So let's then take a quick step back, because I'm gonna give away something here very soon, which is to say now, which is next week. We're doing a roadmap update. We're gonna be having, it'll be me, myself, and I. Also, CCP Overload, CCP Shitpost and Chat, and then CCP Goodfella, our game designer, or game director, not game designer. He does some design things sometimes. CCP Goodfella, our game director, will be here to give a roadmap update. That's next Friday. But before we do talk about that roadmap update, I guess the next question for you then is: do you feel like there's anything big in the works right now? I know that you're talking. We were talking before the stream kicked off about working miracles every so often, and obviously we've seen some miracles already. What's the next miracle in the works?
I mean, the biggest thing we're aiming for with March is roaming,
Okay.
and by extension, the attacking bases. Like, it'll be pretty bare bones because I mean, March is not far away.
No, that's true.
Um,
It's only a couple weeks at this point.
So like,
God, it's only a couple weeks at
so
this
yeah,
point.
I will try and set expectations where it's like they will be able to interact with the base and they will be able to roam. It won't necessarily be like mega polished
Sure.
anything. It's like they will be able to interact with it more than just like steal stuff out of portable storage units, but it won't be like full grand assaults.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
That will be coming.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to that next miracle. Very excited about that. Again, everybody, so next week, put it in your calendars. Check the VOD afterwards if you're not here. Obviously, I'm not going to listen. You don't have to be here. Okay, we have YouTube. We have technology. You can go check that out instead. So go do that if you're not sure. But next week we'll be doing a roadmap update with myself, CCP Overloaded, CCP Goodfella. Maybe somebody else will drag in here. I have no idea. We haven't bullied CCP Rotor in a while, so maybe we'll get him in here as well. I'm sure he would love that. And then we'll talk about like where we're going. I mean, obviously we've these last couple of weeks have been don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell. Hey, hit that bell button, baby. Also, this week's stream was brought to you by Meal Factor of the Week. Clash of Clans. Anyway, right, we're losing focus here real fast. Surfshark, thank you. NordVPN. I'm sure they would love this. For legal reasons, this is all a joke, by the way. But we'll be doing an update. We'll be talking about where we're at right now. Obviously, the last couple of weeks have been kind of quiet because we're coming out of the holidays, but we're now guns blazing going into February, even as soon as February, and also looking at ahead to a much larger moment in March, and then the rest of the year. I mean, it is 2026. We're almost through the first month we've got about a week through the first month of 2026.
It's only been a month.
It is kind of crazy though, but it has been a month.
It's not even been a month.
I know, but it's nuts. It's crazy. Okay. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I've been CCP Jötunn, joined alongside the CCP Dramaturg, our resident person who actually knows what they're doing. There are a lot of those in this team. I'm not one of them. Thank God. I do not have to be the person who knows what's going on for the betterment of all of us, certainly. Thank you so much for joining us here on Frontier Friday. And until next time, we'll see you on the frontier. Have a good night. Have a good afternoon. And we will see you next time.